Hello everyone, this is lecture number 7 and the subject is network theory. Now today's topic is network theorem and the actual topic is Norton theorem and superposition theorem. In last lecture we have discussed about Thevenin theorem and maximum power transfer theorem. Now in last lecture I have already told you that Norton theorem is just a dual of Thevenin theorem. Now Norton theorem basically derived by Edward Laurie Norton in 1926, and this is another useful theorem to analyze electrical circuits. This is like Thevenin's theorem. Now this Norton theorem is applicable to linear bilateral circuits or in complex networks. The main difference between Norton and Thevenin theorem is that in Thevenin theorem provides an equivalent voltage source and an equivalent series resistance, while Norton's theorem provides an equivalent current source and an equivalent parallel resistance. Now the statement of Norton theorem is that Norton theorem states that any two terminal A and B of a network consist of linear resistances and independent or dependent sources may be replaced by an equivalent current source and a parallel resistance. The magnitude of current source is the current measured in the short circuit placed across the load resistance. The parallel resistance is the equivalent resistance looking into the terminal pair A and B with all independent sources replaced by their internal resistance or deactivated. Now this is the circuit. Say we have a complicated linear circuit, linear bilateral circuit, and this is the load resistance. What we have to do is we have to remove the load resistance just like Thevenin theorem, and after that we have to short circuit the load resistance. So after removing RL we have to make it short circuited. Okay, and we have to find out this short circuit current, that is called ISC or IN, also known as Norton's current. After that what we have to do, we have to look into the circuit from the load resistance after removing the load resistance with all voltage sources, that is independent voltage sources, are deactivated. Then you have to find out the equivalent resistance, that is called Norton's resistance, which is same as Thevenin resistance. So RTH is nothing but equal to Norton resistance Rn. So now step 4 is we have to redraw the equivalent circuit of Norton theorem, where we have a current source in parallel with resistance and the RL load resistance. Now this is ISC or Norton current, and this is Norton resistance or Thevenin resistance, both are the same. Now after that we can calculate IL. IL is what? We have to apply current division rule, that is total current, that is IN, into other bunch resistance, that is Rn, divided by Rn plus RL. We can calculate V voltage drop across the load resistance also, that is VL, that is equal to IL into RL. Power also we can calculate IL square into RL. So similar to Thevenin theorem, Norton's theorem has also a similar advantage over the normal circuit reduction technique. Okay. In using this technique, we can calculate load current, load voltage, and load power. Now, with the help of either Norton's theorem or Thevenin's theorem, it is possible to find out the load resistance. We can choose the load resistance so that maximum power transfer to the load. That maximum power transfer theorem already we have discussed in the last class. So basically Norton's theorem is the dual of Thevenin theorem. So if we know the Norton current IN and RN, you can find out Thevenin voltage, which is nothing but IN into RN. And in that case, RTH and RN is nothing but the same. So if you compare Thevenin and Norton equivalent circuit, in Thevenin we have VTH and RTH, voltage source, whatever the complex circuit, that is converted to a single voltage source with a in series with a resistance RTH. For Norton's theorem, whatever the complex circuit it may be, it can be converted to a single current source in parallel with a resistance, which is called Norton resistance. Okay, so this is just a dual of Norton theorem is just a dual of Thevenin theorem. Now, say how to solve the how to find this Norton equivalent circuit. Now, to find out RTH, what we can do, if we have only resistor and independent sources, deactivate the independent sources, voltage source by short circuiting, current source by open circuiting, find RTH by using circuit resistance reduction technique. Okay, by circuit resistance reduction technique. Now, after finding out RTH or say RN, we can find out the short circuit current between the terminal A and B after removing of RL. Short circuit current we have to find out. Okay, that is ISC. So ISC and RN we got, then you can find out value of RL, I mean IL, power and voltage drop. Now, if we have say resistor dependent source with along with independent source, then what happens? First of all, we have to remove the load resistance, then short circuit that, then make it short circuited and find out short circuit current. Okay, if we have dependent and independent both, then what we can do, in case of Thevenin theorem, we have performed short circuit method, okay, to find out ISC. After short circuiting, RTH is open circuit voltage or Thevenin voltage divided by short circuit current. Now in case of Norton's theorem, we already find out short circuit current. What we have to do is we can find out open circuit voltage, that is VOC. That is nothing but after removing RL across the terminal, we have to find out the open circuit voltage. Then RN can be calculated by VOC by ISC, open circuit voltage by short circuit current. If we have both dependent and independent source, if we have only dependent source, okay, for that we have to apply test voltage or test current method. That means we have to connect a voltage source of 1 volt value or current source of 1 ampere value, then find out either current flowing through that voltage source or voltage drop across the current source, then we get the value of RN or RTH as V by I. Okay, if V is known, I you have to calculate. If I is known, V you have to calculate. Okay, so this is if we have only dependent source. But this test method we can apply here also. Okay, now whenever we have to apply this test method, what we have to do, we have to deactivate the independent sources. Okay, so if we suppose if we have a circuit where we have only dependent sources, there is no independent sources, then what will happen? That kind of circuit is known as a dead circuit, because to flow a current or voltage you must have an independent source connected to the circuit. Then what is the significance of the circuit? That is that if we have only dependent source in a circuit and resistors network, then we can find out VT directly, that will be equal to 0 always, because there is no independent source. Now to find out RTH, we have to connect a voltage source and find out the current. Then RTH equal to that voltage source value, say 1 volt, 1 divided by that current value. Okay, or connect a 1 ampere current source, find out the voltage drop across the current source. Then RTH will be equal to that V divided by 1 ampere current. So if we have only dependent source in a circuit, then the equivalent Thevenin circuit will be just a VTH equal to 0 and RTH. Similarly, for Norton's theorem, current source is 0 and we have only RN. say let us take the example. Suppose this is a circuit. Okay, now this is your RL across which you have to find out the say current. Okay, now this is the load resistance. We have to remove that and make it short circuit. So in that figure you can see that RL is removed and it is shorted. Okay, now we have to find out the short circuit current. So whenever you have to find out current, we can apply either nodal analysis or we can apply mesh analysis. Let us take mesh analysis in this example. Okay. So if we apply a mesh KVL at this mesh 1, what we can write? Voltage is increasing 3. Now here there is no resistance. Here it is R4 into I1 minus I2 equal to 0. Now here from the second loop mesh, what we can see, this I2 is nothing but minus 2 ampere. Why? This I2 is going downward, current source is upward. So I2 equal to minus 2 ampere. Now we can write the KVL at the mesh 3. Then what we can write? That R4 into I3 equal to minus this R1. This is R1 into I3 minus R3 into I3 minus I2 equal to 0. Okay, now by putting here in the first equation, by putting I2 value, we got the value of I1. Okay, now as we know the value of I2, we can find out here I3. Okay, so we got the value of I1 and I3 from the KVL equations applying mesh analysis method. So IN, short circuit current flowing from say A to B, that is I1 minus I3. So by apply IN equal to I1 minus I3, so we got this value which is flowing from A to B point. Now we have to find out Thevenin equivalent resistance. Now we don't have any dependent sources, so we can follow the general step, that is short circuiting voltage source, open circuiting current source. Okay, and if you look into the circuit, look from this AB point, current is dividing here, and this 4 ohm current, this 4 ohm resistor is series with 3 ohm, because no current is flowing through this path as it is open circuited. So R1 plus R3 parallel with R4. So we got this value. Now we can draw the equivalent Norton theorem circuit. So current source IN or ISC, RN in parallel with that, and RL. Then we can find out RL by applying simple current division rule. That is IN into RN divided by IL equal to what? Total current IN into other branch resistance. You have to find out IL through RL. So other branch resistance, that is RN divided by total branch resistance RN plus RL. So we got this value. Now we can calculate the value. Okay, other parameters also. Now say another problem. In that case we have a circuit and some values are given, that is when R is open, this is the load resistance set. When R is open, at open circuited, I is 0 ampere, quite obvious, and V is this 1.053. That means what? When R is open, VTH is 1.053, and when R is short, that means short circuit current is 0.222 milliampere. That time when short, V is 0. So what we know? We know VTH and ISC. So we can find out RTH. Okay. So RTH is nothing but VTH by IN. So we got the value of RTH. So we know circuit like VTH, RTH, and this is the resistance R. Now here we have to find out the value of R. Okay. So I equal to what? I equal to nothing but VTH divided by RTH plus R equal to current value is given. We have to find out R. So we can solve for that. We can find out the value of R, and voltage drop is nothing but R into the value of I. I is given into R, that is the voltage drop. So we got these two values. If R is given, we have to find out I and VR, voltage drop across resistance. Now I is nothing but VTH by RTH plus R. So VTH is given, R is also given here, you can see. Okay. So we can find out I, and I into R, that becomes VR. So this is another type of problem that you can solve. The limitation of Norton theorem is it is applicable only for linear and bilateral network. Okay, that means network N1 should not contain any diode and nonlinear devices, and network N1 should not be mutually coupled with network N2. That is the load resistance. There should not be any magnetic coupling. Okay. And limitation for network N2, this should not, this in network N2 may be linear, nonlinear, time variant, and time invariant. In the load side, there should not be any controlled or dependent sources, which is controlled by other part of the circuit of network N1. Okay. Now, let us concentrate on another network theorem, that is superposition theorem. In last lecture, I have told you the point of superposition theorem to solve that any one of the problem. Now, superposition theorem that in any linear bilateral network containing two or more independent or dependent sources, the resultant current or voltage in any branch is the algebraic sum of currents or voltages caused by each independent each independent sources acting alone. Okay, with all other independent sources being replaced meanwhile by their respective internal resistance. That means, suppose this is a circuit, we have three sources. Now what we have to do is we have to deactivate all the independent source except one. Okay. Now for this one source, we have to find out, say, current through R1, what is the value. Then deactivate other independent source and make another source activate. So for E2, what is the current flowing through R1? Then for this current source, making this E1, E2 deactivated, what is the current flowing through this R1? Now the resultant will be the algebraic sum of the currents or voltages. Okay. So this is it, that I equal to, say, I prime due to E1 alone plus I double prime, another current value, due to E2 alone plus I double triple prime due to, say, this current source due to this current source alone. Okay. So now if we have, say, dependent sources here, then what happens? Dependent source we cannot deactivate, that will remain intact. Okay, we cannot touch dependent source because that value is depend on some other parameter of the circuit. Now say say let us take one example. Suppose we have two voltage sources and one resistance. It is a simple one. Find current flowing through this R. Now what we have to do? We have to take one source at a time. Other source deactivated. Voltage source by short circuited. Current source by open circuited. So if we short circuit this voltage source V2, then what is the current flowing? That is, say, I1 equal to V1 by R. Now if we short circuit the V1 and V2 is acting alone, then what is the current value? That is I2, which is minus V2 by R. Why? Because the current direction is showing here, didn't in from right to left direction, but this, as this is positive terminal, current will flow opposite direction. So I2 is minus V2 by R. Okay. So net current is I equal to I1 plus I2. So it is minus V1 by R minus V2 by R. Now the same answer we can get using some other method. That means if we apply a voltage KVL across the loop, then what you can write? Say this voltage drop is IR. then plus V1 minus IR minus V2, right? Then I equal to what? V1 minus V2 divided by R. That means V1 by R minus V2 by R. Now, say another problem. Let us take another example. In that case, say we have one voltage source, one current source, and you have to find out say current IAB. Now, first what you have to do, you have to make this current source deactivated, so it is open circuited. Now we have to find out current flowing through this IAB. Okay. Now, how we can find out that? Now, what we can see here, that what is the equivalent resistance of the circuit. Now we can see that this 4 ohm resistance in series with this 3 ohm resistance, and altogether that is parallel with this 1 ohm resistance, and that is in series with 2 ohm resistance. Okay, that means 4 plus 3 7 parallel with 1, then plus 2, that is 7 parallel with 1 means 7 by 8 plus 2, so we got the R equivalent. Now if we get the I equivalent, R equivalent, then I equal to what? Nothing but voltage divided by R. So you got the current. Now this is the current I that is flowing. This is the current I that is flowing from coming out from the voltage source. Now what is this IAB? IAB nothing but current division we have to apply. Okay, that means total current, that is 24 by 23, okay, into other branch resistance divided by total branch resistance. Now other branch resistance is what? That is 7, 4 plus 8, 3, 7. This is the series circuit, and then it is dividing. So, and total branch resistance 7 plus 1, 8. So 7 by 8 into this 24 by 8, 24 by 23. So we got IAB. If we got the value of IAB, then IACB, that means IACB. So what is the current flowing through this path? That we can find out. So total current minus this IAB current. So voltage across CG terminal, that also we can calculate. That is voltage across this BC terminal and plus PG terminal. So here current is flowing this 2 into total current, because this current is divide, and here this total current is flowing. That means what? This current I divide here and it will go here, and this current comes and this current again added up. So this capital, this I is same as I here 2 ohm. So this 2 into this total current and 4 into this current, that is flowing to IACB. Okay. So that is the voltage that you can find out. Now when current source acting alone, then what will happen? That time this voltage source we have to make it short circuited. Now we can reconstruct the circuit this way, that current source, then 4 ohm resistance, okay, then 2 ohm resistance, right? Then this 1 ohm resistance and 2 ohm resistance, these two are parallel connection, okay, and with this 3 ohm is also parallel, okay. So this 3 ohm comes parallel with this current source. Now what is the current flowing in the branches? So we require to find out this is the through 1 ohm resistor. So through current flowing through 3 ohm resistor, how we can find out? Total current into other branch resistance divided by total branch resistance. So other branch resistance is what? 2 parallel with 1 plus 4. Okay, that is 2 by 3 plus 4, that is 14 by 3 plus 3 total resistance, and 14 by 3 into 2. We get 3 ohm resistor. So if we get the current flowing through 3 ohm resistor, then what is the current flowing through 4 ohm resistor? That is 2 minus that current 1.217. We got this. So now what is the current flowing 4 ohm? You know. Now this current is divided into two parts, and one of the current is flowing 1 ohm. Now through 1 ohm resistor, what is the current? Total current is 0.783 into other branch resistance, that is 2 by total branch 3 resistance, that is 3. So 2 by 3 into this. So that is flowing from B to A. Okay. Then we can find out voltage drop across 3 ohm resistor also. Okay, just multiplying by resistance into current. Then what is the total current flowing through 1 ohm resistor due to both sources? One current is A to B, one current is A to B, which is 0.193, so that is 0.913 A to B, and this current is flowing from B to A. Okay, B to A. Now why? Because A and G are basically, these both nodes are shorted, so AG is shorted. Okay, so that is negative. That is why this is minus 0.522, because this current direction should be A to B, but here this current is flowing B to A. That's why it is negative. So you got the current value, and voltage value also you can add up and get the result. Now say another example. Now say here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sources. So first take take the 3 ohm 3 ampere current source. Others are, this is shorted, this is shorted, and this is open circuited. Now you have to find out current I1. I1 is nothing but 3 into 2 divided by total resistance, that is 7, and that is flowing from A to B. Okay. Now say next one is say 2 volt. If it is 2 volt is acting alone, current source open circuited, here also open circuited, and these two voltage sources short circuited. Now what is the current flowing through this I2? I2 that is through this 3 ohm resistor. Now this is open circuited, so ultimately what happened? No current is flowing because this is open circuited. So I2, that will be equal to 0, and this flowing A to B. Now say this 1 volt voltage source is acting. This is open, short, open, short. So here it is open, short, short. Now here the current is flowing. What is the value? That is 1 divided by total resistance, that is 7. Okay, and this current is flowing actually B to A. Why? Because this is a positive terminal here. So current is flowing this direction. Okay, anti-clockwise. So this should consider as negative. Now say 3 ohm 3 ampere current source acting. So these 3 shorted and this current source open circuited. Okay. 3 ampere. Okay. Okay. So now A to B is here. Okay. So what is the current flowing now? Now this is in series, so there is no problem. The total current is 3 ampere. 2 other one's resistance divided by total 2 plus 3 plus 2 7. Now this 1 ohm resistance is not in picture because this is in series with ammeter, in series with um, current source. Okay. And this is flowing from A to B because this current source is dividing here and in this way, and it is added up here, so it is also positive. Now say for the last case what we can see, this is open circuited, so this part is not there, shorted, open circuited. So what we have, 2 ohm 2 voltage source 2 volt voltage source with 232 7 ohm resistance. Okay, that means 2 by 7 ampere, and current is flowing from B to A. Okay, so 2 by 7 B to A. Then IAB is nothing but first one according for 3 ampere current source, that was 6 by 7 positive, for due to 2 volt source 0, then I3 is negative, then again positive current, and fifth one is also negative because B to A. Okay, then we can add up, we will get the result. Now let us take an example of circuit with dependent source. Now for dependent source, you must remember the point that dependent source we cannot deactivate. It must kept it must be kept intact. Okay, we cannot touch dependent source. So the current through this 5 ohm resistor I0, that will be due to 4 ampere, which is I0 dash or I0 prime, and due to I0 double prime is due to 20 volt source. So I0 equal to I0 prime plus I0 double prime. Now this is the voltage source, so shorted. So this is short circuited. Now we have 3 loops. Now what we can find out, these 3 meshes are there. We are applying mesh analysis. Meshes are there. So what we can see here, I1 is nothing but 4 ampere. I1 is flowing. So this, there is a current source. This is not common to meshes. There is a single branch. So I1 equal to 4 ampere. Now for loop 2, what we can write, that 3 into I1 minus I2, 2 into I2, then it encounters negative terminal first, so minus 5 I0 dash, then 1 into I2 minus I3 equal to 0. Now for loop 3 we can write plus 5 I3 minus I1 plus 1 I3 minus I2. Now it encountered plus sign previous first, so plus 5 I0 prime plus 4 I3, and I0 prime, this is what, nothing but I1 minus I3, because this is I0 prime is going downward, I1 also downward, but I3 going upward. Now we can solve this equation and we can get I0 prime. Now for second case, what we can do, we have to remove this current source by open circuiting, and voltage source remain intact. Again the dependent source remain intact. Okay, now this is another 2 loops are there, or 2 meshes. Now for loop 4, what we can write, that 6, so 3 4 5 6 6 I4, okay, and minus 1 I5, and as it encounter minus time first, so minus 5 I0 double prime equal to 0. For loop 5, that is minus I4 for this 1 ohm resistance, 5 9 10 10 I5, and this direction encounter positive here and negative here, so plus 5 I0 double prime and minus 20 volt. So and I0 double prime is nothing but minus of I5. Okay, so that we have to put it here, and you can solve for R4, I4 and I4 and I5. We can solve for I4 and I5, then we get the value of I0 double prime, which is nothing but minus of I5. So therefore I0 will be equal to I0 prime plus I0 double prime, and you get the result. So now say another problem. Here we have two independent sources, two dependent sources. Okay, so dependent source we cannot touch that. What we can do is we can make this current source open circuit when minus 2 volt is acting together. Right now, what we can see here, that this is open circuited. Right, that means what? What is the current flowing through this circuit? That will be basically 0. This is open circuit. This is dependent source. This I1, this is IY, that is here across this resistance. Ix1, this is here across this resistance, but through this circuit no current is flowing. So Ix1 and Iy1 both are nothing but 0 because it is open circuited. So what is the value of Vz1 across this? That is nothing but minus 2 volt because these two are in parallel now. No drop in these two resistances. Okay. So Vz1 minus 2 volt, Ix1, Iy1 equal to 0. Now what we are doing is we are making this due to this current source. What happens? That time this voltage source should be shorted. So I am shorting this. Now what we can see is this 1 ohm resistor is in parallel with 6 Ix2 dependent source. So what we can write, voltage drop across this 1 ohm resistor is nothing but 6 Ix2, okay, and it is also written as 1 into Iy2 because Iy2 is the current into resistance. So we can equate that, okay, and we can apply KCL at this node, okay. What we can write, that current is here 11 ampere current is entering to I2 2I Y2 current is entering, so those two are plus, and this current Ix2 is leaving, so minus Ix2 equal to 0, okay. So that we can rearrange this way and we got one expression here. Using that we can solve it, we can get Ix2 and Iy2 value. Now we can apply KVL at the inner loop to find out Vz2 voltage drop across this source. What will be the value? Ix2 is here, so 2 into Ix2, right? 2 into Ix2 plus 1 into Iy2 plus Vz2 equal to 0. Then if you put these two values and resistance value, we get Vz2 equal to 8 volt. So Vz2 is 8 volt, previously it was minus 2 volt, so actual value should be 6 volt, and Ixy and Iy both currents were 0 previously 0. So here that value assumption will be minus 1 and minus 6, and dz value will be 6 volt only. Okay. So limitation of superposition theorem. Superposition theorem does not work for power calculation because to calculate the power, that involves either the product of voltage or current, that is the square of current or square of the voltage. So it requires either product of voltage and current or the square of current or square of voltage, and they are not linear operation square. So this statement can be explained with a simple example that we did in the first example, V1, V2 and R. That is, then what is the current? Current is nothing but V1 by R minus V2 by R, right? If you remember, let me just show you. V1, V2, R. So current is V1 by R minus V2 by R, right? So what we will get, V1 by R, that is 1 ampere, minus V2 by R, that is 1 ampere. So current is 0. Okay. Using superposition theorem, we can find that resultant current flowing through 12 ohm is 0. So power consumed by the resistance should be equal to 0, right? But for power consumed in any resistive element of a network cannot be computed using superposition theorem. Note that the power consumed by each individual source is given by, what is the power then? 1 ampere current, so that becomes 12 watt. For source 2, it is also 12 watt. If you add, then it becomes 24 watt. But this is wrong. So that is why this power calculation we cannot do using superposition theorem. Okay. Now superposition theorem cannot be applied to nonlinear circuit like diodes and transistors. So that is another limitation of superposition theorem. So in this lecture we talked about Norton's theorem, superposition theorem, limitation of superposition theorem, and limitation of Norton theorem is it is applicable only for linear bilateral network. Okay. It can be DC circuit, it can be AC circuit also. There is no problem. And another main point that you must remember, that is whenever there is dependent, if there is dependent and independent source, okay, then the best method is for Thevenin, that is short circuit method, and for Norton, that is open circuit method. That means for Thevenin, if you, for Thevenin theorem, what you have to do, first find out the open circuit voltage by removing RL, then make it short circuit, find out short circuit current, we will get RTH as VTH by RTH over. If in the circuit we have both dependent and independent circuit. For Norton's theorem, we have to first find out the ISC, short circuit current, by removing the RL, make it short circuited, and find out short circuit current. After that, make it open circuited, find out open circuit voltage. RTH will be open circuit voltage by short circuit current. If we have both dependent and independent source. If we have only dependent source, what we have to do is we have to apply test voltage or test current method. That means there is no independent source. Okay, so what we have to do, if only dependent sources are there, that circuit is known as dead circuit, and in that case we have to connect a voltage source of 1 volt or current source of 1 ampere across the load resistance. Okay, after removing the load resistance, then you have to find out voltage drop across the current source. Then RTH will be that voltage V divided by I. I is known 1 ampere, so you can find out RTH. If it is, if you have connected voltage source of 1 volt, then find out current leaving from the voltage source. Okay, then RTH is equal to V divided by I. V is 1 volt divided by the value of current I. So these are the two methods that you have to remember, either short circuit method or open circuit method, or test current or test voltage method to solve Norton's and Thevenin theorem, or even it is possible for circuits like to find out maximum power transfer theorem also, because for that you require RTH to calculate and PTH also. So these are the main network theorems in circuit analysis: Thevenin theorem, Norton's theorem, superposition theorem, and maximum power transfer theorem. Okay. Next class or in next lecture, we will discuss about some other theorems are there, like substitution theorem, compensation theorem, Millman's theorem, intelligence theorem. We will discuss about those theorems briefly, and we will try to understand the concept of those theorems and where we can apply that also. So this is it for today. Thank you so much. Try to practice more as much as problems you can do. Okay? Try to practice more problems. Try to solve more problems. Okay? You so that you can solve as many as problems. Okay. So thank you so much.